The Wildlife Operators Assistance Fund, a lot of people called it the WOAF, called the WOAF, was started right after Katrina to raise some funds to assist some of our folks down in the South that were affected by that storm. Some people had lost a lot, lost their homes or had lost their vehicles and tools and things. The fund was created to raise some money for them through donations from other operators around the country to get some of the things that they needed down there, not for long term, but for short term. Just to pay some bills right away so they could try to get a hold of their lives again. One gentleman down there in particular, we were able to send a foam gun kit to, not even cash, we just bought the kit and set it down so he could complete the job, which would provide him the funds that he needed for several months. Other people were, one guy was called up for service, and his wife needed to be able to pay the oil bill for the winter. And that gave not only them the heat that they needed, but gave that operator that peace of mind when he was over there in Iraq that his family at least were able to keep the house heated. The fund was a combination of people in the industry that just got together and informally collected funds from people. It grew into something more organized, although it never became an incorporation. It never became a nonprofit. And eventually, and unfortunately, that fund just did fold up. There wasn't a lot of interest in it after a while, and not enough volunteers to really do it. However, there is a growing interest now. And I'm hoping that folks that have that kind of spark in their heart, that want to help other people when they need it, will get involved again. And I sure hope they'll call either yourself or myself and volunteer to be a part of that program.
How would you start it again?
Volunteers is first and foremost. We need people. There's quite a bit of work that has to be done. Some of the fundraising can be done online, like on some of the different forums. I don't think it reaches enough people, though. So we need folks that would be willing to maybe spend a couple of dollars on advertising it. Some folks that would go to events, set up a booth. We have some signs for it still. We have a logo. We have a patch that can be given out when people donate. By people wearing the patch that they have had or one that they'll get, it would advertise that the fund exists and maybe even spark a conversation between two people. Hey, what does that patch mean? What does that WOAF and those hands shaking on there mean? And it gets them into the discussion as to what the program is and word-of-mouth advertising. First and foremost, though, like I said, is getting people out there that are be willing to do that work with.
I know there's some talk about possibly calling it WOLF, the Wildlife Operator's Life, because there's some concern over the past name. Do you think that's really an issue?
No, I don't think it's an issue at all. It really doesn't matter what it's called. I'm all for it to be Wolf or Woof, whatever it would be called. It might be easier to do it as the original name simply because the logo is there, the patch is there, and signs are already made, and it would just simply start up again, but without having to go through anything else. Naturally, though, we would like to see it progress into a nonprofit corporation to actually get that 503 status so that when people make donations, it can be deductible. I think we could get larger donations from corporations if it was deductible. So I think that's very important. But that's not cheap. That's expensive. We're going to need, probably $1,000 or more just to do that alone.
How do you think we can get that part done?
That's actually simple. Any nonprofit attorney could be hired to set up the corporation. If somebody's out there that's really savvy and knows how to do that online, I've heard that you don't even need an attorney to do it. The corporation could be set up. And like any nonprofit corporation, it has to have a board of directors, some titles, some names, and then that board decides what the policies are and the bylaws are of the organization. It's not a very complicated thing to do, though it sounds like it is. That whole thing could be accomplished in a matter of a few weeks.
Sounds like it's me and you. We're going to use this podcast here, try to get some volunteers. My phone number is 386-454-7474. I want to see this get started, and I know you want to get it started.
Absolutely. And my phone number is 201-933-9700, or they can email me, and it's simple. It's my name, Kirk.Lapierre. That's KIRK.LAPIERRE @verizon.net. Or you can. What we need first is some people. They can contact me, or they can contact you.
They can find a thread on www.wildlifepro.net and volunteer their service, and let's get this thing going.
Wonderful.